Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. Lots to cover today. We are back in the Lego room after displaying at a train show this weekend. We were at the Heritage Park Railway Days 2025, and I was displaying with my Lego Train Club that I'm a member of. It was a lot of fun, a lot of cool displays. It was fun to run trains on the layout there. And now that we are back from the show, there's a lot of work to do to get the layout reassembled. We've got a number of projects around the room to get things kind of organized and tidied up. And we've got a number of cool projects that we were working on before the show that I want to get finished up. So lots to cover today. So let's get started and dive right in. So first off, to give you guys a bit of an idea of how much of the layout came out to the show, quite a few modules. We've got the T-junction that came out of the tabletop layout here, as well as the T-junction below on the lower level. So 2 of the 3 T-junctions came out. Really happy with how they performed. The new one had a small issue with the dimensions of it. It ended up a stud out in one direction that I wasn't expecting. It was fine at the show. I was able to move things around to compensate for that, but I do want to get that sorted out as we put it back together here in the layout. Hopefully something that we can get addressed pretty quickly. We also took most of the straight track down behind the Lego City. You'll see more of that in a moment. We overall took one carload, or sort of one big carload worth of bins and containers out to the show. It was 11 plastic/cardboard boxes that we took out to the show for everything. I was pretty happy with how everything got packed and how relatively easy it was to get things to and from the show. We had, in terms of modules, we had the warehouse at this end of the layout that came out. We've got the new water tower that went to the show, the new train station that we've been working on, as well as the wind turbines and lots of track. Really happy overall. Things were a little smaller in terms of size to move out to the show because we didn't take the grain elevator this time. A grain elevator is just, it's a beast. It takes up a lot of space, but hoping we can get some fixes to that in the coming months and get that back out to a show again next year. But overall, really happy with how everything was to get set up and taken down at the show. I think it all worked out really well. Have to say, I think the sunflowers were probably my favorite new bit of sort of layout and scenery at this show. I think they worked super well. We've got a number of fixes to do here. There's lots of casualties from the transportation process. Should be pretty quick to get sorted out, but they were, like I said, an excellent addition, and looking forward to having them integrated into the layout here in the Lego room, and looking forward to adding to them. I can really easily see us doubling at least the number of sunflowers that we have. I think that they work really well in and around the wind turbines and just a fun element in general. So we will be looking to expand those out. And with that, a couple other things I'd probably like to do in that area. I'd like to add a few bits of sort of elevation change through the sunflower modules. Nothing huge, just a few plates up or down and around the modules that have the sunflowers, just to give a little just a little differentiation and change throughout the modules there. Also, I think it might be cool to get a scarecrow in the field of sunflowers, maybe a sort of old broken down sort of shed area, or maybe a vehicle, just a few other elements to fill out that particular part of the layout. But overall, super happy with the sunflowers. I think they looked amazing. They transported pretty well, all things considered. And, there was a lot of positive comments about them while we were at the show. So, really happy with those. And with that, really happy with how the wind turbines performed. They're always a favorite. People, notice them from across the room, comment on them, come running over to see them. Really happy with how these two worked, and the setup was pretty quick and easy for them. And I thought that the new recessed bases for them, so having the bottom of them built into the lower part of the Mills module, I thought that worked really well. So quite happy with those. Will be nice to get them back set up here in the tabletop layout and running again around our layout here. And, still on my mind to think about maybe picking up another one or two of these at some point in the future. I think that having a few more would be really nice, but really happy with how these two worked out. Nice to have them back together again, and looking forward to seeing them reintegrated here into the tabletop layout. And on the subject of landscaping, happy with how our trees performed. They transported pretty well to and from the show. There's a few things I can see from just the outside of the box here that are going to have to get reattached, but for the most part, they travel pretty well. Minimal breakage, and I really like the way they look around the layout. Definitely want to add more trees and some different types of trees to our collection for use both in the layouts here in the Lego room, but also out at shows. And with that, as I get those reset up around the layout, I'd like to get those last few trees that we have over there that need to be fixed up and repaired. I'd like to get those all back in working order to clear out both that part of the layout over there, but also so that we've got all of our trees ready to use again. So happy with how those worked. I think more ahead on trees and on landscaping in general. Some ideas that I've been toying around with over the last little while. We've seen a lot of cool landscaping and builds in general over the course of the year, and looking to sort of build off some of those inspirational ideas for our layout here. So more on that to come, but happy with how the trees and the sunflowers worked out for this particular show. While we are on this side of the Lego room, I will also mention continue to be really happy with our Acro Mills storage containers. I've got a lot of work to do around the Lego room in general to clear up pieces and bins, etc. after the sort of final frenzy of building leading up to the train show. There's a lot of bins that I pulled out of here as we were finishing off various builds, and I've got those in around the layout, on the floor, in the build space that I have in my office. So, need to go through, get all that cleaned up and reintegrated back into the wall here. But continue, like I said, to be really happy with the Acro Mills storage containers. It was really easy to find a lot of parts that we needed as we were working on various Mills modules and builds. And, super helpful to be able to find those things in the wall and get access to them really quickly and easily. So, tidying up to do from all of that frantic building before the show, but really happy with this, and it'll be great to have everything stocked back nicely into the wall here. Now, heading back around the layout, you can see we've got several plastic bins with track. We've got big Mills modules of track here that need to be reintegrated into the layout. Pretty happy overall with how the track transported to and from the show. You can see we've got another bin over there of track. The track in general held up really well, and it was nice to get the two T-junctions out to the show this time. I think it's really cool having the two T-junctions integrated. It let us run 3 trains at a time around the layout without any conflicts between them. We always could have run more if we wanted to be sort of careful and watch how they were moving around the layout. But to have 3 being able to move on their own sets of track, really useful. And, it was a lot of fun. I think they worked really well. And, we won't know until these are all fully integrated back into the layout if there's any other issues or sort of travel damage that I need to take care of. But initial feelings from setting things up at the show and taking them down and getting them back here to the Lego room. Really happy with how all of these transported and worked out. And looking down at the back of the city here, you can see what I was mentioning about the large amounts of straight track that we took out of this part of the layout here. Definitely looking as we move forward to hopefully be able to take more from the lower level layout in future, for future shows, or even getting to the point hopefully where we can have some stockpiles of track that we can just have in bins ready to take out to shows as needed without having to pull stuff from the layout. I don't think we're going to get to the point where we just have everything in bins and we're not taking anything from the layout here. But having some of those modules stored up so that, we don't have to have the layout in sort of a non-working state for a period of time would be nice. While we're over here, some things that I do want to work on in addition to getting the layout back together. We made a big push before the show to get a lot of Mills modules done. Want to work on getting those integrated into the various parts of the layout where they're going to go. In the case of these ones over here, we've got some for the Winter Village and some that are going to be used as foundational pieces for some different modular buildings that are going to go into the city. So work to do there, but it'll be nice to get those tidied up and work on opening up some of these pathways around the Lego layouts here and just make it easier to find and move around the room. Looking over here too, I would like to come back to this corner as well where we've got sort of our space themed builds on display and do a bit more work over here. Have some different ideas of both modules that would be nice to add here, but also, some possibilities for some additional display areas that could work well over here. So this is definitely a corner I want to return to and see what we can do to add to it. Now, on the subject of getting things kind of cleaned up and organized after all the frantic building before the train show, lots of stuff over here at this end of the layout. This is kind of the constant area that I always have to come back to get tidied up. But we've got our in-progress Mills modules. The stack has been shrinking, but we still want to get that all cleared up. And we've got a nice stack of finished Mills modules that would be good to get integrated as well, so we can get those out of this area over here. While we were in the pre-show building phase, I started to get ready for a number of sort of bigger industrial and Mills module projects. We've got the vinegar factory in progress. Really happy with how that's looking. We've got all the parts ready for the coal tower, which I think will look great in a Lego train yard. Not sure yet whether we'll get it integrated into the tabletop layout over here or whether it'll end up on the lower layout, but want to start going through and getting more of the bases ready for those cool modules that we have planned to build, and we'll start to get those populated around the lower level layout and the tabletop layout where it makes sense. But it'll be really nice to get these 2 big stacks out of here. We've also got lots of parts out and about that we've been pulling from and sorting to, get what we needed for some of the projects we were working on before the show, and still going through the projects that, we'll use some of these parts, now after the show. But, to make it easier to move around the space, I want to do a big pass of cleaning this up, getting things sorted out, easier to access, and just easier in general to move around. We also have a lot of builds that we've kind of had on the side, on the back burner while we were working on stuff for the show. We've got the cool Harry Potter Hogsmeade Village buildings. Really excited about building those and getting them integrated into the Winter Village. And we've got a number of builds from Bricker Builds as well that I'm looking to get finished up. We've got Mario, obviously, that we want to finish, but we have Luigi parts as well as Yoshi, Great Yoshi's Egg, and some other really cool builds. So lots of work ahead on this end of the room over here, but looking forward. We made some good progress, over the last few weeks to get this area tidied up. Went a little sideways as we were getting things ready for the show, but looking forward to getting this all tidied up again, and it'll just make things a lot easier for moving around, not only the Lego room in general, but accessing the tabletop and lower level layout will be a lot easier as we clear up a number of these areas. And with that will come some cool storage and display stuff on this wall over here. So lots ahead on that front, but a big focus for me in the coming days here. Also wanted to call out the lower level layout. We've been doing a lot of cool work down here. Really happy with all of the track modules that have been coming together around the Winter Village over here on the one side of the lower layout, but also with the mainline part of the big sort of oval that we're making over here. You can see where we had the one T-junction that came out. We still have our third T-junction over there in the corner. Will be nice to get those back together and hooked up so that we can start to work towards a continuous loop down here, and ultimately having everything on mills on this lower layout will be a really cool milestone to reach, and will be really cool to get some of these areas built out. We've got a lot of cool stuff on deck for the Winter Village over here, a lot of cool things for the main layout, and some interesting power and other options that I think we're going to try out down here. So some really cool stuff ahead. And it's just going to be really fun to get the added track space down here for running more trains. We're getting, a lot of stuff in place for the two mainline tracks, but I still want to get the additional corner modules in place. We've got some R72 and 88, I believe, radius track that is going to go up both ends of the lower level layout here, which will give us, hopefully, if it all works out the way I have planned, 4 loops around this main part of the lower level layout. We've got some cool stuff planned with the bridges as well. So a lot of cool stuff ahead for the track down here and just the lower layout in general. Really want to work on getting some additional sidings set up down here on the lower level as well, so we can get all of the trains that we have off of the shelves and off of sort of side areas around the layout and have them exist on actual track here attached to the layout so that we can easily access them and take trains on and off the layout so that we can run ultimately more trains and have everything in a sort of easy to access place, both on the tabletop layout and here on the lower level layout. And while I'm down on the lower level layout here, just want to call out this end of the room over here by the Acro Mills containers. We've got a number of things I want to clean up here in terms of track and just various parts and sets that are over here. We've got a lot of cool display space on this end of the room here. We've got some really cool shelves up there. Want to work on sort of maximizing what we're doing with those shelves and work on getting a number of these things out of the aisleways. Starting with right here, we've got our additional train sets that we ordered for the motors in them. Would love to get those passenger train cars added into the white passenger train that we have on the tabletop layout, and want to start integrating all of the power functions that we picked up from those sets into a number of the models that we are building and that we have built that need motors. We've also got a number of orders that'll hopefully start coming in over the next couple of weeks. Number of people gave us some great suggestions about different things we should consider for motorizing our trains. So we're going to try out a number of different options, and we will post videos as we go through trying those out. But really appreciate all of the suggestions, and looking forward to getting more locomotives motorized and more trains running around the layout. Should be a lot of fun. But another area here where I really want to tidy things up and make it easier for moving around the layouts in general, and it'll also make it easier for accessing the lower level layout here as we're building out the track and the various interior building and sort of scenic elements for this part of the layout. So cool stuff ahead over here as well. On the subject of Lego trains, you can see a bit of the chaos at this end of the layout over here. Lots to get tidied up as we get the tabletop layout reassembled here. And as I mentioned, really want to get a number of sidings in place on the lower level layout so that we've got track for all of this to live on, as well as all the additional trains that we are building out. The more things are on sidings and easily accessible to a main line around one of our layouts, the easier it will be to run those trains. So looking forward to getting this all organized here, but really had a lot of fun running the trains that we took to the train show. We had a lot of great trains running as well as on display, and cool to see them in action and cool to see people's reactions to them out at the show. So looking forward to getting this area organized here and tidied back up, but really happy with how all of the trains performed at the show and happy with the condition they all came back in. The transportation of them all worked out really well, and not too much fixing up needed post transiting to and from the show. And last but not least, let's take a quick look around our office space here where we do all of our building and posting and editing of videos. Lots of stuff to get organized and straightened out in here. Probably one of the primary areas where the chaos sort of erupts from when we're doing a lot of building and getting ready for a show. But was really happy with how everything came together for the show. You can see we've got the vinegar factory in progress over there. Really happy with how that's coming together and looking. Love how the sort of canister kegs are looking for the vinegar factory, but lots of stuff to sort through here. We've got lots of parts up on the table. Like I said, lots of things that need to get reintegrated back into the Acro Mills wall now that the show is over. But, really happy with how things went, getting things built for the show, and a lot of cool projects ahead here in this space. But lots of parts to get sorted out and put away so that we can, easily move around here, but also really move through a number of cool builds that we have planned over the next few weeks here. And as we head towards the holiday season, a lot of cool stuff on deck. and looking forward to not only the great buildings that we've got planned, but we've got a number of awesome train cars and locomotives that are sort of queued up to build here. So lots of great stuff ahead, and it should be a lot of fun as we get this room sort of cleaned up and as we get to move through those upcoming projects. So lots of work ahead, but I think it should be a lot of fun. My goal is over the next day or two to get the layout reassembled here and to get trains running again. That'll be a nice milestone to reach, and just helps push forward other projects when we have the tabletop layout in a fully functional form. So looking forward to that. With that, in the days after the layout is reassembled, we'll push on the parts wall and getting things organized around the layout. A lot of cool videos queued up and coming over the next few days. We will show you guys the awesome train station that we're working on that we showed at the train show, but we've got a few things to finish up there that'll really finish that off and make it a great addition to the layout here, and will be an awesome module that we can take to future train shows. We've got some cool train cars and locomotives that I'm looking forward to not only finishing up but getting motorized as well. So lots of cool stuff ahead, and really excited about the lower layout as well. I think that is going to be really exciting over the next few months as we get the mills modules there finished off and get everything connected so that we maximize the total number of trains that we can run at once around the Lego room here. Now, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.